That's why I don't never get too hype about the win after I win, because it's like you always got to do something over and over again till you done. And it's always going to be somebody next, somebody next, somebody next. So I feel like I don't have to prove myself to these people.
For this fight, like, what are you fighting for?
I'm fighting for my future, like my kids' future, my people's future that's coming behind me. You know what I mean? It's not really much so like me and just me anymore. It's me, but it's not just for me. I just want to prove that I'm the best at the 135. And June the 15th is just going to be a clinic. He's just a stepping stone to what I want to do. You know what I mean?
It's the fight nobody asked for, but that doesn't stop everyone from talking about it. Jake Paul, the internet's most controversial boxer, will be facing Gervonta Tank Davis, one of the sport's most feared punchers. The internet's loudest mouth versus boxing's hardest hitter colliding makes this not just a fight, but a spectacle. And this spectacle has every MMA pros and the whole world talking about it. Let's break down what they have to say.
He should beat Jake Paul, shouldn't he?
No, he shouldn't.
But you don't think? Sorry. So, I thought we were all unanimous here. Do you think that Jake Paul beats Gervonta Davis?
£70 is £70.
Gervonta Davis is very small. 5'5".
He's tiny, bro.
That's
what I'm saying.
Jake Paul,
He's a little
6'1".
man.
If Jake Paul's tucking up,
move on,
and absorbing punishment and walking forward, then look, there's a way to run.
Coach Calvin isn't convinced by all the talk surrounding the fight setup, especially when the conversation turns to gloves. 12-ounce gloves in his eyes belong in the gym and not under bright lights. He sees the push for more padding as hesitation from Jake's camp, while Tank's been throwing heat in smaller 8s his whole career. For Calvin, greatness isn't about comfort or safety, it's about stepping into risk and proving you belong there. He wants the matchup to feel fair, real, and raw. The kind of fight that earns respect, not negotiations.
My only concern is, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from Jake. He fights in 10s. Tank fighting 8s, so he losing 4 ounces. So my thing is, I said, they said, put Tank in 8s, put him in 10s. That makes the fight more interesting. You know what I'm saying? And we'll go from there because I understand. And I brought that question up to one of his handlers. They was, no, we don't want to do no mixed match. It's supposed to be an expedition. Why does it matter? What, now y'all want the wins and the loss. You know what I'm saying? All these prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying? Tank don't really care, So when I brought this up, he said, dang, facts. You know what I'm saying? So, again, he can wait at 10s and we wait at 8s. Then we got to fight.
And that's exactly why Joe Rogan's fine Tank's so captivating. Rogan sees in him a rare kind of control, a fighter who doesn't waste movement or emotion. Every step Tank takes has purpose, every pause has calculation. He applies pressure without throwing recklessly, reading opponents until the perfect opening appears. Then in a split second, he explodes with a flash of speed and power that leaves no room for recovery. Rogan calls it the art of controlled chaos, the mark of a fighter who doesn't just hit hard, but knows exactly when to hit. It's that precision wrapped in patience that makes Gervonta Davis one of the most fascinating fighters to watch today, and that's why Rogan is excited to watch him paired against Jake Paul.
Tank is one of the most interesting fighters to watch because he's so different. His style is so different. It's so economical. Like, he puts pressure on guys without throwing too many punches and then starts to figure holes out, and the way he can explode and move in with one shot, my God.
Yeah, he's very explosive. He's very explosive, man.
And then there is Showbiz. The adult takes that fascination and flips it into perspective, because for Tank, this fight isn't just for the entertainment, it's a gamble with his legacy. If Jake Paul lands the unthinkable and knocks Tank out, no one's gonna talk about weight classes or glove sizes. To the world, it'll simply be a YouTuber flattening one of boxing's elite. But if Tank wins, especially by knockout, the narrative shifts entirely. He becomes the hero who silenced the everyone. Showbiz admits he once thought thought Jake's size made him untouchable, but that changed the moment he saw their stare down. Tank's composure and Jake's unease. It told its own story. Now, while many doubt Tank, showbiz stands firm. To him, this fight isn't about social media or spectacle. It's about pride, pressure, and proving that real boxing still hits harder than hype.
If Jake Paul knocks out Tank, that is horrible for Tank. I don't give a damn that Jake is a heavyweight. He's still a YouTuber to people. It could be that's what your dumb ass get, all of that. But if Tank knocks out Jake, he becomes a hero. Y'all can say what you want. It was exhibition. No, it's fake. You can try to talk it down. Scream as loud as you can. It ain't going to matter. It's going to resonate past how you personally feel. And I saw you guys in the comments asking me, well, do you really think Tank can knock out Jake? When I first heard about that fight being a potential fight to be made, I, without question, had Jake Paul. I was just like, Jake Paul, I mean, he's a heavyweight. This is hard. This is bad. Tank's about to get knocked out. Then I start thinking, especially after I saw how Tank was kind of manhandling Jake in the stare down. Jake looked nervous. So it made me think. All right. So let's talk about that. I know everybody has turned their backs on Tank. That's not the way I work.
Emilio Vargas, on the other hand, sees the whole thing through a different lens. To him, the fight's not really about skill or legacy, but it's about the attention. He laughs at the idea of an exhibition because at its core, it's all business. Jake Paul, he says, figured out what so many lifelong boxers never did. Boxing runs on buzz. It's not belts or records that fill arenas. It's headlines, clicks, and controversy. Vargas points out that Jake makes more money in one night than most champions see in a lifetime. Not because he's the best, but because he's mastered the art of being watched. Whether people love him or hate him doesn't matter. They're still watching, and that's what pays.
So, okay, perspective on other fights. This Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul fight, right? Explain this to me, not in basketball terms, just such a funny internet comment, but explain this to me like a third grader. What is an exhibition fight?
I don't even know, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. All I know is that Jake is making, I don't know, God damn.
But when they say
look, God bless Jake, bro, because this is what he figured out. He figured out this. He figured out boxing is all about attention.
100%.
And he went from Disney to, you know, getting paid. What I told you, world champions that have dedicated their whole life to this sport, they will never get paid. Not even a percentage of what he's making.
Yeah.
But because attention brings dollars. It doesn't matter if it's a podcast, if it's a movie premiere, if it's boxing. If there's no attention on it, you're not going to make no money from it.
This is like the WNBA conversation.
For
That's why
sure.
they don't make the money, because they don't have the attention.
No, for sure.
Mike Perry brings in a more skeptical take. He respects Tank's skill, but questions whether the same hunger still burns in him. Perry remembers the Tank who delivered jaw-dropping knockouts, the fighter who seemed unstoppable, but he's not sure that version still exists. After seeing Tank go the distance in recent bouts, Perry wonders if the fire has dimmed just a little. Against someone like Jake, who's carrying nearly 100 pounds more, that passion could be the difference between survival and defeat. To Perry, size isn't the only concern, but instead it's about whether Tank still wants it enough to overcome it.
Jake is big, Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, I mean, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and, you know, I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
On the other hand, Tom Loeffler takes a more measured stance, looking at the matchup less as a rivalry and more as a spectacle that reflects where boxing is today. He doesn't dismiss Jake Paul, in fact, he credits him for carving out his own lane in the sport, building a brand that merges entertainment and boxing in a way few have managed. Loeffler admits the weight difference makes things tricky, and that the rules for an exhibition like this blur the line between sport and show. Still, he acknowledges Jake's steady improvement and the undeniable attention he brings. For Loeffler, it's less about who wins and more about what this fight represents. The evolving shape of boxing itself, where skill, fame, and spectacle now share the same ring.
My last prediction I got to hear from you, the Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight exhibition.
I don't know what to say about that fight. I don't knock Jake Paul at all. I think he's creating his own value in his career, whether it's pay-per-views, whether it's Netflix, whether it's ticket sales. You know, Jake Paul is creating his own situation. He's not taking anything away from boxing or boxers. I think he's creating opportunities. I don't really know what to think about. I mean, that weight division is or difference. You know, I don't know what to say. I don't really know the rules on what's going to happen with that one. Whatever the weight limit is, he is definitely getting a lot better as a boxer. So you can't take anything away from his boxing skills. So, you know, whatever that turns out to be, it's definitely going to be a spectacle for boxing.
However, Brandon Adams approaches the matchup with caution rather than excitement. To him, the problem isn't about hype or entertainment, it's the risk. He can't help but worry about what could go wrong when a smaller fighter like Tank steps in with someone who outweighs him by so much. Adams isn't against exhibitions, but he draws the line when safety becomes uncertain. One bad punch, one awkward injury, and a career could be over. He admits he just wants both men to walk out healthy, and he'd rather see them face opponents closer to their own size, where the danger feels like part of the sport and not a gamble.
It's an exhibition, but still, Tank versus Jake Paul.
I thought she was going to say Tyson versus Floyd. Damn, she went even lower. I don't like it. I just want them to come out healthy. The reason why I don't like it is because anything could happen. And if anything happens and all of a sudden Tank got to retire because of some kind of weird shoulder injury, trying to punch him, anything could happen. And I would just prefer for them to fight guys at their size, their weight, because then if those injuries kind of happen, we see it, we love it still, and it is what it is.
Whereas Brandon Adams worries about the risks and wants both fighters to stay safe, especially given the size difference and potential for injury, Kermel Moton picks up from that caution but shifts the focus to skill and experience. He sees the matchup as entertaining, no doubt, but he gives Tank the edge. To Moton, Tank isn't just strong, but he's also smart in the ring, with the kind of high IQ that lets him handle even heavier opponents. While the exhibition tag and massive paydays add spectacle, Moton reminds us that great fighters can adapt, and by that measure, Tank still holds the advantage.
Gotta get your predictions really quick for the Jake Paul versus Tank Davis.
I feel like it's gonna be a good fight, entertaining. It's an exhibition, so we're gonna see how serious they really take it. But I don't know, they both getting a lot of money, so congrats to them.
Who has the edge in this fight?
I feel like Tank has the edge for sure. He's a real fighter, and got skills, high IQ fighter. Regardless of the weight, I've personally seen Tank, spar heavyweights, and even me, I spar heavyweights, So the weight's not really too much, for a lot of great fighters, so I feel like Tank gonna get it for sure.
Academics jumps in with a mix of hype and practical reasoning, looking closely at the size difference between Jake and Tank. He admits the fight could go either way, but if there's a power, a punch from him could change everything. The conversation quickly turns to numbers, weighing the fighters and noting just how big Jake is compared to Tank, even after Tank drops weight. Academics frames the matchup as borderline, highlighting that while skill matters, the weight gap is a huge factor that could swing the outcome.
It's going either one. If there's a knockout, it's going to be Jake knocking him out.
You think Jake is going to knock out Gervonta?
Yeah,
he's the underdog.
We got to look at size. We got to look at size. Now, granted, do I think Gervonta can knock him out? Of course. But what people don't realize is that, you got one guy who's a damn near heavyweight, and then you have another guy
he is a heavyweight.
Well, I don't know if he's going to be weighing in as a heavyweight for this fight. I forgot what weight they agreed on. But regardless, if it goes
227 pounds.
Say it?
He's 227 pounds.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what he's weighing in
against
on.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah, no, he's weighing in something different. It's no way they're letting a 227-pounder fight a 130-pound guy.
Gervonta Davis. Let's take a look.
Yeah, just look at weight limits. I think it's like 190.
195.
Yeah.
Okay, he's going to go down 30 pounds.
Yeah. I still think that's borderline. I think 200 is still heavyweight. But I think it's borderline.
Yeah, right there.
He adds another layer. Weight cuts could actually reduce Jake's usual power, dropping 30 to 40 pounds win. And for Tank, it's an easy payday while still maintaining his legacy. Even if the fight ends up looking easier for Tank, the spectacle benefits both sides, and the hype guarantees attention, money, and potential rematches. It's a high-stakes dance where size, skill, and strategy all collide.
In the bottom,
yeah. So, I would imagine if it's a knockout. Well, here's the thing too, though. So I might actually take it off the table. I might just go with Gervonta. Why? A lot of Jake Paul's power probably come from the weight. So in 30 pounds or almost 40 pounds he got to cut. That's a lot. Now, one thing I'm gonna like about Jake, Jake's a bag secure. I could see. You know, I think this is gonna be a win-win for both of them. It's gonna be a win for Jake because you don't get knocked out by this guy. If you can stand in the ring with an actual top-tier boxer, and he can't knock you out, and maybe you land a couple jabs, like a couple of hits, maybe even stun him once, you've won because you're getting $100 million. That is genius. And for Gervonta,
he says he's going to retire after this, by the way.
Nah, he'll fight. He'll do it again.
That's what he said.
If I'm him, I'm selling. Even if I find out Jake is easy work, I'm selling it a little bit because I got to do this twice. Yeah, this guy get done twice. Every good lick deserved to be done twice.
So what do you think? Who's taking the win, Jake or Gervonta? Drop your predictions in the comments below and make sure to hit that subscribe button for all the latest fight updates and breakdowns.